I've been thinking about reviving this old bait boat for ages now. I bought this when they first came out, probably around about 2008, 2009 I suppose. And I used it as my rescue boat or my retrieval boat for a while until one of the motors stopped turning as free as the other one, then it wouldn't drive straight and I couldn't be bothered with it. As you can see, it's been shelved for a long time. It's supposed to be black. It just had a handheld remote like your TV, so it wasn't great at steering. Not having a LiPo that you don't have to charge every single time you take your rescue boat out. You know, half the time you go out 10 times, you might use it once, so you've charged your LiPo up 9 times and discharged it for nothing. So I hate doing that. So what I was thinking was maybe use one of these batteries. They're 18 volts. If I can figure something out, I don't know, plug it in. Oh, here's the controller. By plugging it in here or something, and instead of having the twin motors on there, do it with a jet. So one of these little TFL type jets. This is a 30mm thing. It will turn way better. And if I can sort out this, it'll be fantastic. When I'm going to the lake, I can just pull one of these from any tool I've got. I've got about 10 of them, and just chuck it on, and it doesn't even matter if I don't use it. You don't have to discharge them. And the good thing about having like a jet is you can just, as this was actually, you can just sit it on the back seat of your car or throw it in the tray of the ute. And then it doesn't matter, you don't have a rudder hanging down, you don't have a propeller that's going to cut the seat or whatever. If I can use this system here, it'll just be the ultimate. So I'll pull this apart and I'll see what I'm working with inside and see what's possible and what's not. Here we go. Oh wow, okay. It's got like the 540, hang on, is that brushless? Must be brushed. Don't know why it's got so many wires. But a 540 style motor, and it's geared. Actually, I don't even know why this was not driving straight. It must have been something to do with one of the motors got too hot and then didn't run as the same speed as the other one, because that's free as. I mean, obviously I could just convert it to a low kV brushless setup, and figure something out with the steering so that you're still not using a rudder, you're sending power from one to the other. But you know, that would just be too easy. I'd just rather put a jet in it. So that's your controller there, because it used to lift this up as well, if I remember right. So the people that fish would know more about this than me, but apparently you put your bait or whatever it is that attracts fish in there, you drive it out, and then this tip comes up and it just tips out. So there it is, emptied out. Not sure what the deal is here. They're just two things that are used for nothing, so it's all going to be ground away anyway. And underneath, just taking these little screens off of here, I'll just cut these shafts off. They're fully waterproof here, so yeah, I'll just silicone it up, just cut them off and silicone it up. Got enough room to put that there, that's going to be good. The thing is with jets, you've got to make sure you've got room here as well, which is not going to be a problem. So, I mean the top of this under here, so I'm lucky there. So it's gonna be like that. Yep, it looks like a pretty easy job actually to do this part. To do the battery thing side of things, I don't know, but this will be done in an hour. It actually looks like this boat could be made for jet anyway, or like as maybe another model with this flat part here. So what I'm going to do is separate these two here. This is going to be inside the boat, and that's going to be on the outside of the boat, and this just bolts up to here. So I just got to make, just got to line that up and then cut my hole here, and then worry about doing the round one after that. Now the trickiest bit with this is knowing where to cut this hole, because you can't get it right up against there until you've got the hole there to let it stick out a little bit. If you get it wrong, it's not the end of the world. You can actually cut more out. Like if you cut it too big, just make a plate out of some 1 or 2 mil aluminium, and then use that and glue the plate into there. On this one, it's got the same jets in it. The transom on this one is angled in, so I had a choice to either make a wedge or do it a quicker way, and all I did was just left all this together, left the jet on it, cut a hole that was where this could fit through. You can kind of see it sticks out. You might be able to see it sticks out on the bottom here, and it goes in on the top. I just cut a hole big enough for this to fit through, and then glued it in. Just put glue around the outside. Silicone would have done the same thing. This one here, it's got the TFL 40mm jet. I cut the hole just inside these bolts here. These outer ones here. It's hard to see. So it only leaves like just a tiny little bit of meat there to actually drill your holes around the outside. But I've done what I'm probably going to do with this one, or what I am going to do with this one. And on this one, I actually put a plate in it. This is like a, ooh, what is this? 90, 100mm jet, something like that. Much easier to work with. And yeah, I made up a plate, if I remember right, and just cut the boat from here all the way across, rather than trying to do like a round hole. Oh, and the other issue is, yeah, the top of the jet on this one stuck up higher than this. That's what I remember now. It was a real pain, so that's why I had to put a plate in. Just something you've got to cut really well, because you don't have much room. I'm going to be cutting to fit this lip here on through the hull, and then that's how much distance I've got there with the little 2.5 or 3mm bolt just right above it. So I'm just creeping up on it with my hole here. I just don't want to go too far, else I'm going to have to spend more time fixing that later, putting more glue and stuff like that around it. So I'm almost there. This has got to be touching on here, so I'm not far off. I've just got to get rid of this little lip here. I'm just slowly making the hole bigger, just with this thing here. So this part here, this ring here, is going to be on the outside. This is going to be, this slides over the end of the pump there, and that sits on the inside with the threads in it. Okay, so I end up switching over to this when the hole is big enough to fit that in there, and I've got it just right. So we're getting somewhere now. This ring slips over here. Push that in there. Then you drill the holes in here and tighten it up. So there it is. It's got that attached on there now. So it's not a ring that actually holds the jet in. The jet is held in when you glue it in. So just run some epoxy around here, and yeah, then move on to the next step. So that's all glued in there now. It's time to move on to the servo. I just got a second-hand mount here. There's a ton of different ways and different designs of mounts you can have. You know, you can lie the servo on the side with a different style mount. This particular one stands up like that. You know, that type of thing there. So let's just run a rod out to here. Now, as soon as I'm going to use this stand-up mount, I might just do it with a twin rod setup. Just one on either side coming out here and here. I might just chuck a motor in there first, just to make sure I've got, you know, clearance to do that with the cooler on. So I'll put the motor in and then go back to this. I actually don't even know what motor I'm going to use, but I know it's going to be second hand, like everything else is in this build, apart from that. Okay. Well, this one's a big 4070 TP, but I like the KV of it. 880. That's beautiful, nice and low. It's not going to work though. It's got an 8mm shaft, so I can't use that one. This has come out of a pro boat. It's just 1900 kV. This little one looks good. This one, 1620 kV. I definitely like the look of that one. Don't need anything too powerful. And the lower the kV, the better. I'd prefer lower than this for sure, because I do not need this thing going fast. So I want it to be slow, so that it doesn't chew out my battery. And we just found a winner. 1000 kV. That's exactly what I'm going to use. So this is 36mm by the looks, and it's just a short one. It's probably a 36 by 74, I guess. But yeah, the KV is really good. So, all right, I'm going to put that in there, and then do the servo. So the motor's in the mount there. It's you just bolt it down, screw it down into the threads here. It's nice and simple until you come to the joiner. And I didn't realise, but this is only a, I don't know, 3-4mm hole. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not big enough for a 5mm shaft anyway. So, but I've made it work on this one here. And I'm sure I didn't drill it out, because I've been around long enough to know not to do that without a lathe. I went through my spares, found this one, 529B72. Has the big hole in one end. There's the 5mm hole, so I guess that's what I did when I did that one. I just can't remember, it was too many years ago. The other thing I found when I cracked open the instructions is I found a servo mount shoved down the back there. So it's going to save me actually gluing that on there. So this just sits on there like that. You've got an option to run 2 servos if you want. So I'll just run one on here. They even give you the rod. It's got the little bent up arms as well. What is that? Here it is. So you even get that with that. It's not the best system. You know, there's always a little bit of play with this, but I mean, it's just a jet. I mean, for this thing, it really does not matter at all. So I'm just going to do it the easiest way. Use that with one servo. Okay, I see now why I didn't use that servo mount when I fitted in that one. It's not the same. It's not your standard 40mm. It's too small. So it would have been handy if I could just throw that on there and not have to glue another mount in. But I don't have a smaller servo, so I'm just using second-hand stuff. This one came out of a pro boat, I think. It's waterproof, so that's all I care about. You don't need much pressure like you normally would. Well, it doesn't have to be very strong like it does with a rudder that's actually turning the boat, because all this is just, you know, it's not even in the water, it's just blowing water out. So a servo for a jet doesn't need to be as strong as, like, you know, you might use a 20 kilo one on a boat with a rudder. This might be, you know, 6 kilos, which would be more than enough. So I'll just go back to the original idea, I think, and just run that there. If there's enough room past here. See how I go. Okay. Yep, that looks like it's going to work. I'll deal with this first, mount the servo last, because you can always figure out a way to line the servo up. But the most important thing is to get this right, and if you can, keep your rods straight. In this case, if I'm going to do a double one, I have to keep the rod straight. Okay, so I've got that sitting in there now. I've put my boots on the inside like I like to do these days, just for neatness. Plus on this one there's just not much room there. Maybe with a little bit shorter boot it'll fit there, but I always like to do them on the inside now anyway. And yeah, that's going to be cool. All I need to do is connect these onto here. I'll go and get some little joiners now, and then once that's set on there and I'm happy where it is, I'll glue it in. Okay, I'm just going to use a pair of these. These are TFL number 519B21. So I'm just going to drill this out a little bit. Where is it there? To fit the bottom of that in there. And then it's just I've got the hole there. It's held in with a grub screw. These rods I'm only using 1.5mm rods. Just so I didn't have to drill these little holes out any further. The thread on these is M3, which is a 3mm drill bit, but you need to drill the next size up or go a little bit bigger to fit this non-threaded part in here that's stepped up a little bit. So I've done 3mm there, and although they go in, it's not going to come down enough to fit that other bit in there. So I'm just going to go to 3.5 and that'll sort that out. Now I'm up to the interesting bit, any part where I have to start thinking. Just going to sacrifice this torch. It's probably the cheapest Ryobi tool there is, I guess. Let's see what happens. See if I can use this part here to power this. Up until now it's been brain off type stuff, so I've been looking forward to this. Alright, so just going to switch. I need this, God, I need that base for it to drop in there, and I need this part here. So if I can get that back together, figure out how I'm going to hold this into the top of that, and then I can just run those to the speed controller. I soldered the wires onto the back of the thing here. I mean, my idea was to just use this, like glue this into the top of the lid, but I might as well, I've got the depth, I might as well just leave it like that. So, do a test. We'll plug it in. Let's hope we've got some voltage. What have we got here? 18.7. Beautiful. Alright, so decide what speed controller I'm going to use and sort that side of things out, and then figure out how I'm going to mount this. Alright, that should work. Alright. Now to see if it'll work off my Ryobi battery. Big test. Get rid of the switch. Okay, let's see if all this is good enough to drive that. So 5 beeps for 5S, that's good. 18 volt. Oh yeah. To find out after it's loaded up if this can drive it. So I thought I'd bring it home and test it in the pool, see if it's going to leak or by how much, before I screw the top on. I'm halfway through making a mount for this, so that's got some paint drying on that. The good thing about jets is as soon as that pumps, it actually pressurizes water through the cooling system, so I don't have to worry about a separate pump, because it's only going to go slow. Okay, that's cool. Excellent. This needs to go walking pace and turn good. That's all I want. Getting wet here. Oh, that's working good. So that Ryobi battery can power it while it's under load. Dog don't like it. Oh, well, that's all I need to do now. Just, as long as I can get a couple of minutes out of these batteries, that's all I care about. Okay. That's it. So I've bolted this down to onto the boat. Now I've put a aluminium plate on the inside and also underneath for a bit more weight rather than anything. It was just a little bit front heavy when I tested it in the pool the other day at home. So it'll push the jet into the water a little bit more. I think I'm going to put a switch on here because I was hoping that the battery would just kind of sit up there like that and not connect, and then I could just push it in when I wanted to, but it doesn't do that. So I think I'll put a switch on here, and I need to put some kind of breather somewhere, like something, and I'll put a little plug on the back here as well just to tip it up. Jets always find a way to leak, and that's just to lubricate the jet system. This got a little nozzle on the top of it just to put machine oil in there every time you use it. So we'll give it the big test tomorrow.